Albuquerque. This is Lindsay.
This is Lorenzo.
And this is What's Up ABQ.
What's up, Albuquerque? This is Lorenzo.
And this is Lindsay. And today we have a returning guest with us. And I'm really excited because it's been I think 4 years.
Almost 4 years.
Almost 4 years.
Almost to the day.
Oh, wow. Really?
It was November, so close-ish. Yeah.
Yeah. So go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us where we are.
Okay, I am Jesse Heron, returning. We are sitting in our little trolley car tap room at Painted Lady Bed Brew. We've been working on this for the past 5 years, and we've now converted it into what we call the Ghost Light Saloon. So now it's a cool spot to drink a beer.
It is a really cool spot to drink beer. It's amazing because the last time we were here, it was just like an empty trolley, and now it's like a whole thing.
It's a whole thing.
It's a whole thing.
It's a whole thing.
It's a little tap room. It's a trolley. It's got some really good ghosty vibes. I really like it.
Yeah. I think it's the one part of the property that's not haunted, but
right.
They come and go and flow through here, I'm sure. But yeah, it's got, we decorated it. It's got old vintage Albuquerque photos. There's photos from the Library of Congress about Albuquerque. So it's kind of like a little museum. Then also a lot of ABQ trolley stuff, which is the other business I co-own. Just trolley memorabilia. It's like a little museum for the Albuquerque trolley, plus this place. So it's all very trolley centric, very Albuquerque, historic.
That is so cool. So you said the name is the Ghost Light. What is the background of that name?
That's a good question. It just sounds cool, right?
Yeah.
So Ghost Light Saloon. So originally the people that built this property, what is now the Bed and Brew, the owner is a guy named Cesario Gonzalez. He, back in the heyday, so 1880s to early 1900s. So this place operated as a brothel. It was a swastika saloon, which we covered on the last one. So nobody freak out about swastika. This is like good swastika. But he also had one in the downtown red light district called the Red Light Saloon. So originally this was going to be Red Light Saloon, kind of paying tribute to that. And then, I don't know, I just was drinking a beer with my girlfriend, and we were like, it's just too easy. Let's do something like a little bit of a difference. That's more unique that, we did. So Ghost Light. So a Ghost Light, if you're in the theater, all theaters have a Ghost Light. They keep it on stage in the evening, until the morning, in case somebody's on stage and they happen to not see the edge of the stage and they fall off into the orchestra pit. So, kind of building on that, and then ghost lights are also these other weird atmospheric phenomena where people see these little lights in the sky, and it goes back through different cultures that these lights are rumored to be paranormal, or there might be devils, or might be fairies, or they might be ghosts of restless spirits. And I was like, oh, that's sick. We're doing that ghost light and stuff. So
nice.
I like the reference because it kind of ties everything in with this property, and we'll kind of get to that. And if you haven't listened to the first episode where we interviewed Jesse, it's it's a couple seasons back.
First season.
Yeah, first season. It was the first season.
Episode 15-ish, something like that. So yeah, it was. I went back to make sure I could talk about this.
Well, and it's crazy to me because we came the first time to talk about the property and what are you doing with your business? And you're like, all right, so did you want to hear about the ghost? And we were like, whoa, what? Didn't even know that was coming, and also that is super exciting. So now that we know about the property, we're here for the ghosts this time.
I mean, let's do it. Tis the season. It's getting close. People are. There's ghosts year round here and stuff. But no, it is cool, and I think last time I was telling you a lot of the hotels in town are haunted spots. If you grew up here, you know about certain places like Hotel Andaluz having ghosts, and Hotel Park Central and the Chemo. And most of those places don't really want to embrace it, especially the hotels, because they get a lot. As soon as a guest walks in, they read or hear that's haunted. They might walk. I know Hotel Andaluz has lost entire conventions of people who are going to stay because one incident or whatever, But we're I travel to those places, or at least I used to, and I'll tell you why I don't anymore. But so we fully embraced it here. So if you are, you're into that paranormal sort of stuff, you listen to the Ghostly podcast, or you watch the TV shows, this is a good spot to have an experience. And having the trolley here for happy hour for our guests every day, they'll tell us about ghost stories they witnessed or have had experience in the rooms here. I just got a text from a lady yesterday that was kind of creepy, and I'm like, okay, crazy. That's You're
I wish I could say I'm surprised, but at this point I'm just not. I know it's here.
Yeah, she had a real creepy one. So, which is kind of cool because if you go on our Google, you Google Painted Lady Bed Brew and you look at the reviews, you can do a search for ghosts, and you'll see probably 40 or 50 that either mention like there were no ghosts or ghost stories, or my husband woke up and he had scratches on his back, and it's like, oh, sorry, apologies.
Like, well, we gotta go.
Yeah,
it's been fun.
Maybe that was us. Maybe it was you. I don't know. So, but yeah, we embraced it. It's cool. Yeah, I mean, it's haunted. Yeah.
Well, and I remember, and so it's funny. So like, I am like one of those people. I love ghost shows. I love like if something's haunted, like I want to go there. Like I say that. If I actually had like an experience, though, I don't know.
We did book a hotel in Portland for 3 nights, and then staying there for 1 night.
And we were like, peace, we're out.
But
like,
it was a really cool hotel.
Oh, did you guys bail out early?
Yeah.
We bailed out early.
Because of the ghosts?
We just got this like...
There was some vibes, man.
Yeah.
It was like being watched, not in a good way, like just heavy,
Is everything
weird
watched in a good way?
I don't know.
With a stranger watching, you're like, ooh, yeah.
This is what I'm into.
I still got it.
I guess that's true. Yeah, they put us in this room. It was the Jefferson Airplane Room. It's a chain in Portland called McMinimans. And
I've heard about it. People have told me about it. It sounds rad.
It's awesome.
It's a great place.
They renovate all these really cool historic buildings. Like they renovated an entire elementary school, and now it's like a brewery and like event center, insane asylum out in Edgefield in Troutdale, Oregon. I mean, all over the state. There is one that's a haunted Masonic lodge that they, apparently.
Sweet.
Yeah. So we stayed at one of the hotels downtown in Portland, the Crystal Hotel.
Yeah.
Crystal Hotel? Yeah.
I think so.
And they put us in the Jefferson Airplane Room, which was like these...
They're all named after like 60s, 50s, 60s, 70s, like...
music icons.
Yeah.
And there's like these murals on the walls, and it was like all of Jefferson Airplane, but like their eyes like follow... It was just... I don't know, man. It was just... And it takes a lot to like irk me, but... Yeah, we were not...
like, peace.
It gotcha.
Yeah, so I would seek that out. I mean, to a point, maybe.
Yeah.
And I know that some people do. It's like a dark tourism kind of thing.
They do, and there's people that are fans that are foodies. They will follow where Guy Fieri's been on Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. And same with the ghost shows, like Ghost Adventures. They came here and filmed during the pandemic. And our episode aired, and we got people stopping by and showing up at weird hours on the cameras, doing weird stuff. But they book a room and they do weird stuff and they kick up activities. So that's like the same thing. They follow those places. Like they'll land in a city, look up Ghost Adventures locations, see what's there. And this is the only one that they've ever done in Albuquerque, was here at Painted Lady.
I think the last time we came, it was like right around the time where they were either getting ready to come or they had just wrapped. I can't remember exactly.
So it's 2019. This was a year later. So I think that I had been on Psychic Kids, which maybe is what I talked about, which is hilarious. And that was, that one was kind of funny. You can watch it. I just, there's some clips of it on the internet. I just rewatched one recently. So that was like the first big-ish kind of one. That one's on A&E. I don't even know if it's still on anymore, actually. But it was, I don't know. It was like on TV. It was on a network people know. It was cool. They did a little, I don't know. It was fun, but the producers were like, okay, so if the kid gets things right, like make a big deal about it, make him feel really good, which is fine. I totally get that. Yeah. But then also what they don't show in that show is like I'm walking through with their camera team of producers, and I'm doing the whole MTV Cribs stuff. Come inside my brothel. Come step in.
Check it out.
Come on in, open up the refrigerator. And I'm telling them the stories and stuff. And then, I remember there was a light on my bedside table that was flickering. And it flickers all the time because it's an LED bulb and they don't like to be dim, and so it flickered. And the producer goes, whoa, what was that? Capture that. Does that happen often? I was like, yeah, it happens all the time.
Because it's the electricity.
Yeah. And she's like, well, let's do it again, but don't say that. And I was like, So they are
padding the storyline a little bit.
Yeah, it was kind of ridiculous. And then it was like everything I told them was stuff that he picked up. I don't know. It was weird. The kid was cool.
Ironically.
It was a cool show, but I was like, man, that was kind of But then after that, we got on Travel Channel, had a new show coming out called Hotel Paranormal.
I've seen that one.
With Dan Aykroyd hosting, which was super cool. So they somehow heard about this place, and they flew me out to... They did a taping in Buffalo, New York. So they bring people there. It's like 2 different stories per episode. And they're based out of Toronto. So I stayed in Toronto. So free trip to Toronto.
Why not?
Rad, super awesome. And winter, but it was awesome. And then they did the tape thing in Buffalo, and they do like, I'm on camera telling these ghost stories like super close up. And then they film it in Toronto, and they try to find like a place that looks like Albuquerque, but they have no idea what the Southwest looks like, and so they show it.
Saguaro cactuses, you're like, nope.
Yeah, which would have been understandable, but like, so it comes out, I'm watching it with my mom, and it says like Southwestern USA, and it won't disclose the location, and I'm like, well, I want the promotion of Painted Lady Bed Brew.
You can say it, it's okay.
I'm gonna use it.
Albuquerque's not a bad word.
Here is the address, and they like pan on Southwestern USA, and it's like a little. I mean, it was Arizona. It was I mean, it was just so far off, and then the Bed and Brew, were like single story long. And they had like a row house in Baltimore looking thing, but it was like good effort and stuff. And then it airs, and they have a guy who's playing me, but everybody's like this much more attractive version of me with more muscles. And I was like, what?
You're like, do I get to pick who plays me, or are you guys just going to tell me no? Like,
it was like everybody came out, and I get these text messages. They're like, wow, that guy's like looks kind of like you, and I was wearing a Zia bolo tie for the interview because like repping.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And then they put this guy in like a bolo tie. So then I'm like, damn it, they think I'm a hipster now. And I was like, this is just.
You guys totally misconstrued what I'm trying to do here.
Yeah, my dad was like, oh, he's way more ripped than you, and I was all cool.
Thanks, Dad.
Yeah, thanks. Awesome.
Makes me feel good.
Yeah.
So you've had a lot of different shows kind of come here, and it's a little bit of traction. Ghost Adventures is so funny. I have like a love-hate relationship with that show.
I think most people do too, and I do as well.
I feel like so. It's like your dirty little secret. You're like, yeah, sometimes I watch Ghost Adventures. Don't tell anybody.
Yeah.
Like.
We're watching a new one. What is it called?
Oh, it's some British one. I can't remember.
They take more of like the spiritual.
It's like Help My House is Haunted or something. I don't know.
But it's
interesting.
Yeah.
But it's funny because I always picture what I think Zach Baggins would be like in real life. Is he actually that way like all the time, or is that mostly for the cameras? I just have to ask.
No, he's like that. He was, and I get this question all the time. He's exactly as you'd expect him to be, exactly as he is on camera. But so they came here during the pandemic. This is like August 2020. So there's no vaccine. There's no talk of it. Everything's pretty dark. It's pretty bleak. And so they came. And so it was face masks. It was, they almost didn't allow them to film here. It was like, I got the news that Ghost Adventures going to film. This is going to be huge for like the business and just great publicity. And then it was like, well, they're not going to allow them because of the restrictions we had here in New Mexico on filming. And then I had to but they did it and it was great. We got permission. But it was like with restrictions when we're wearing the masks and stuff. And so the other three guys are like great. Like Aaron, who is everybody's favorite, was like awesome, like hilarious, like a jokester. And
he's my
really
favorite
cool.
too, I gotta say.
Yeah, and the other guys were great as well. And Zach was a little bit standoffish.
He always reminds me of like, come out and fight me, ghost. Like,
he is like a machismo type of dude. But also in his defense, I get it because he's like the showrunner, producer. He's like the lead investigator or whatever, so he's got a lot going on. So he really couldn't be bothered, but I think it's because he's just in business mode, which I totally understand. Right. But then the camera comes on, like I would try to go say hi to him or whatever, and he wasn't interested in that at all until the cameras were on, and then he was, real good and stuff. But
interesting. Yeah. It's so funny. You're like, who would have thought, like, when you started renovating this place as, like, a business, you're like, oh, cool. And then, like, Ghost Adventures just showed up one day. You're like, whatever, But
I did. It was funny because when I bought it back in 2014, my little brother and sister, we would always watch Ghost Adventures together. I think my little brother went as Zach Bagans for Halloween one year. Just, like, you watch it. Idea, actually. It's, like, funny, and he's easy to make fun of, but whatever. And I was like, they were like, oh, maybe someday I'll be on Ghost Adventures. So we always had this joke about it. And I remember I got the call and they were going to film, and I was like, guys, you'll never, guess what? It's happening. And it was like, oh, this is amazing. And it was a good episode. Like, it was a good episode. There wasn't a lot of like spooky stuff happening when they came because we had all these cleansings been done, and it was fairly quiet. But I was like, it's going to be a good episode because the history's here.
Yeah.
We got great ghost stories here. I don't know if they're going to capture anything, but then it turned out like they kicked up a whole lot of activity, and things got real bad. Like the episode's good.
Oh, wow.
Things got real bad once they left, and we had to have another cleansing. And it was real. Wow. It was kind of scary.
So, okay.
No, go ahead.
So I a couple of things. I want to know about now the cleansings, the sort of it sounds like the activity sort of fluctuates, and then I guess if we have time, how do you find yourself on the radar of these folks like Ghost Adventurers? How do they know about you guys? So yeah, so many questions.
I know, right?
I'll start with the second one because it's interesting. Yeah. So we come out on Travel Channel for Hotel Paranormal.
Yeah.
Ghost Adventures is also on Travel Channel.
Mm-hmm.
So what did it though, interestingly enough, was I had texted Tessa Mintis, she's a news anchor on KOB on Channel 4. I said, hey, we're going to be on Hotel Paranormal. Do you guys want to do a story? And so they came and sent over Hawker Vanguard for this Erie, New Mexico, Erie Enchantment segment. And they aired that about me, having my trip to Toronto and the filming and stuff. But it was actually Zach Bagans saw that. He didn't see the Travel Channel Hotel Paranormal. He saw the clip on KOB from local news about this haunted place. And so a PA from Ghost Adventures texted me. And that was it. So it wasn't that they don't watch their own network, I guess. But and then the first question was about cleansings and how that stuff sort of works, right?
Yeah.
So, I think there's a portal here. Mm-hmm. So, it'll feel good for a while, and we've done this cleansing, and then people come, especially during the pandemic. We have a lot of locals after Ghost Adventures came out, and they want a scary experience. Mm-hmm. So they book a room for the night, and then they invite 10 people, and I'm watching this, people show up at midnight in the cameras, and I'm like, oh my God. Yeah. And they bring in Ouija boards, and they bring in
they're
pendulums.
Yeah.
And they don't know what they're doing, and they're stirring up stuff, and then they leave. And I'm grateful for, the business, I guess.
Pick up your mess.
But I'm walking in the rooms, and there's incense still burning, there's weird markings, and I'm like, okay, so what are they doing? And then all of a sudden, I live here. And stuff would get real bad, and I'm like, it's these people who are bringing in these entities, or they're doing something. So
they're inviting things, or
exactly,
it's they're opening up that invitation more than it was before,
and you can't control that, So that happens. So we do cleansings every few months or so. I have video of most of them, which is cool and fun. But then there's a portal on the property. So when they do these cleansings, they remove all the bad spirits, and you can feel the difference. You can feel them leave. The energy feels different. And then a few months later, something comes through, because it's like an airport. You can't control what comes through here. And I don't know how this stuff works. I have theories. I was skeptical, but and I still am when people tell me stuff. I'm all, well, I don't know. But I've had enough experiences here. And I've seen things. I've seen an actual ghost once, and I've seen other weird things I can't describe. But the coolest story I have is it was just before the pandemic. I think it was early March of 2020, and I had I was living here, and one of the original brothel doors I turned into a headboard. Cool, right? Upcycle, Martha Stewart. And so I turned into a headboard. And I'm sleeping, and middle of the night, there's a loud noise that wakes me up. And if you're sleeping and there's a loud noise, but you've been asleep, so you have no context of what it was. So you don't know if it was somebody's knocking, or if it was a gunshot or a firework. So I'm just startled awake. And the room's dark already, because I have dark blackout curtains and stuff. So my eyes are adjusting to the darkness, and there's this whooshing noise coming out of the headboard. And as my eyes adjust, there's all these objects that are one-dimensional, about this size, the size of a small basketball, but they're all weird shapes and weird angles, and they're blacker than black. Which, if you listen to ghost podcasts, you hear that a lot, and I can tell you know it when you see it.
Wow.
So the room's dark, but these things are pitch black, wow. And there's hundreds or thousands of them. And they're just whooshing out of the headboard, and I'm just looking forward, and they're just filling the room floor to ceiling in a vortex.
You're all I wanted was a really cool headboard. That's what I signed up for.
Right, and it was, I was making sure, I've had so many ghost things over the past 9 years. You wake up, you make sure you're awake, you're not dreaming. I look at the clock and see what time it is, and then I usually grab my phone and do like a little note exactly what happened, what time it is, how I'm feeling, so I don't forget about it. And so I'm definitely awake, and I'm just watching this spectral display happen. It's like it's just this crazy thing that I don't think many people have ever seen. And one of the reasons I listen to all the paranormal podcasts is to see if someone else has had something similar. I could be like, okay, that's a thing. But it was just this crazy thing. So I don't know what it was, if those little objects were spirits or what, but it filled the room floor to ceiling, and I watched it for like 5 minutes, and then it didn't feel scary, and I just went back to sleep. You know, it was like 4 a.m. or whatever, but it was amazing. So I'm pretty sure that was the portal opening out of the headboard, which later on I've had psychics come here to do cleansings, and they're like, is your headboard a door? I'm all, yeah. They're all, you know that's like a doorway, right? And I'm like, oh, well, it used to be. Yeah. They're all, no, it's an actual doorway for spirits to come through. You've got to get rid of that door. So it's in my shed. Yeah. So like,
just not above your head.
Yeah.
You're sleeping.
But, you know, Zach has his haunted museum in Vegas with the haunted objects. So I want to try to get him that headboard, and you know,
nice.
I tried to give him a demon trap when he was here, but he's just weird to talk to. He was like very distant and like, I don't know. So I was like, well, whatever,
maybe
dude.
Maybe not now, but maybe later, Zach.
Yeah,
maybe.
exactly. I was like, yeah,
Sure, take my demon trap, please.
let's do it.
It's a little parting gift for you. Take it with you. Take it far away.
Yeah, I mean, I've got them. They're like right up there on the dash. You can kind of see them behind the shirt.
Yeah. I see it.
So what is it, like a pan with some?
Yeah, kind of. So they do this thing where they are going to remove a spirit forcefully. So it's like a spirit who won't go out like through normal cleansings of sage and, you know, that sort of stuff. Yeah. So they have this, it's like a bread pan basically, and they put Epsom salts in it and like cat's claw and weird stuff, and they light it on fire. Then they're like burning sage and like channeling this thing to go into the trap. And so it's happened twice, and I was like, can I keep them? Because why wouldn't you, you know? And they're all, yeah. So I've got them, and we started doing just this past Friday. So kind of opening the property slowly to the public where you don't need to stay the night. So in the trolley, the Ghost Light Saloon, every Friday from 1:30 to 3:30, we have a tour called Brews and Booze, where, you know, you come into the trolley, our little trolley car, it seats 13 people, like that's for real, 13 people, you know.
Oh, wow.
And you get a beer with admission.
Nice.
And we do, you know, there's a little TV screen flips down, so it's like right here.
Yeah.
So you got a beer, we have historic photos of the property.
This is a really cool spot, yeah.
We have photos of you know, trolleys in Albuquerque. We go and we do a tour of the rooms. We come back here, you know, you can do more beer if you want. And then we
want to do that. I'm like, it's on my radar now. I'm like, I'm going to do that one of these Fridays.
So then we start telling stories, you know, my stories about living here for the past 9 years. And so there's like the demon trap video, and here's the trap, and here's a clip from Ghost Adventures, and here's the guy that played me on Hotel Paranormal, and how he's much better looking than me, whatever. You know, I hope I meet him someday.
Out of this tour.
I know. So it's cool, but it's a way for the public to come in, get some ghost stories, get a beer. You know, eventually we bring our own beer. You know, that's coming here the next few weeks or so, hopefully. So, yeah.
So I have to tell you this, and it's just so funny, and I know you're probably gonna roll your eyes at me, but it's fine.
Oh, no.
So the last time when my brother and I came here, season 1, it's so weird to say season 1.
What season is it now?
I like 4 or 5. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll count it.
Yeah.
You can fix that.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't even know. It's been a few. No, it was funny because you had gone. We were taking a break, and you had gone inside to do something really quick or grab water or something. And my brother's like, I don't know, man. There's just like a vibe, and I feel like because I'm a dude, I am not wanted here right now. And I was like, well, that makes sense.
Where did you guys record?
It was just outside.
Yeah,
It
we
was
were
like
sitting right under the tree, in the shade there, and those two
right
bar
there.
stools, like right out there.
And it was funny because I was like, huh, that's interesting. And he's like, yeah, I just feel like I am like it's just this vibe, like I'm a dude, you need to get out. And I was just like, And it was funny because I got the feeling, like me personally, like I picked up on the feeling of like, you're a guest here, it's okay that you're here, but don't touch anything. Like that was the impression I got. I was like,
I can see
you're
that.
welcome here, but don't touch anything. This isn't yours. Like just don't touch anything. And it was just really weird. I was like, okay, I'll mind my manners, shit, you know? Like,
No, they are kind of very possessive of the property. And when I on the last episode of this, you know, 4 years ago, I was telling you guys, like, when I first moved in, doing the renovations, I mean, the property needed so much to work, it was kind of like neighborhood eyesore. It was embarrassing almost. But it needed so much, and so right away, things were happening, and you could, you hear these things about, you start doing renovations, old places, it kicks up the spirits and stuff, and I was like, I'm bringing it back to what you guys knew it as, getting rid of the drop ceilings and the linoleum tile and the shag carpet and, like the crappy renovation that happened in the 70s. So peeling back the layers to like what it looked like when it was a saloon and brothel, with like modern updates and stuff too. But the energy then was like it was real dark. I mean, it felt like it was cursed. There was things that were happening in my personal life that I was just like, I can't win type of Charlie Brown attitude, So we've tried really hard over the past, I've been here almost 10 years to change the energy, and it's changed definitely by bringing in Pink Warrior House. So they're the nonprofit. On the last one, I was like, they're just about to move in.
Yeah, I remember that.
So they've been here for 4 years now. Nice. So they're Pink Warrior House. It's a nonprofit, local. They support women who are battling breast cancer. So we got the nice painted lady mural. The energy has changed quite a bit. So we've really embraced like the feminine side and kind of made it very powerful women. There's photos in the rooms of women drinking beer during Prohibition, and like, it's a real cool place, and it's changed a little bit for sure. But when ghosts come into the room when I'm sleeping, I can tell if it's male or if it's female, and I'd rather it be female because they're not as they're more gentle. The male spirits are like, imagine walking into like a locker room and some dude's like puffed out chest, like, hey bro, and you're just like, it's just like weird. They're very like, I don't know. It's weird,
well,
like
it's just
intelligent.
Funny that you say that, because it was to me it was a very like female feeling of like, you're a guest, don't touch anything, like don't break anything.
No, I totally get it.
All right, okay,
yeah,
sure, got it, check. And my brother was like, man, I don't know, man, I just feel like it's just like I'm a dude and they just don't want me here, and I was like, maybe not.
We were outside too, so like go in the rooms and it's entirely different. Although I don't think they're confined. Like I don't know what the ghost realm is or what their rules are, but I don't think like you're stuck in a room. I mean, why could you not just move through like different places? Or I don't think that you have to have died somewhere to be stuck there. I think that if you had an attachment to a place and that's what you remember and you want to go back to what's familiar, like that's where you can return to.
So who do you think is here? Do you have any sense of like who's here on the regular? Like, is there some resident ghosts that hang out, or is it just sort of like you were saying, like a bus station where everybody's kind of in and out? Or
I think there are people who have a connection to this place who either died here or they just spent a lot of days here. I mean, it was a brothel from probably 1881 when it was built into the early 1970s or 80s, running illegally under the radar. Because there's people who I've met in this Wells Park neighborhood who tell me when they were little kids, the saloon closed during Prohibition and turned into Charlie's Grocery. And they told me when they were kids, they would walk past the bordello to go to Charlie's to buy candy, and they're not old enough to, I mean, like they're old, but it was like it would have been middle of the 20th century when that was happening. Yeah. So I forget where I was going with that.
Resident ghosts, like
ghosts, So there's people. I mean, there are. On my website, if you go to breakfastisoverrated.com/newspaper archives, there's clickable links and headlines from the Albuquerque Tribune, the Albuquerque Journal from the early 1900s about knife fights and stabbings and roadhouse complaints. You can actually like zoom in and read the story, which is super cool. Yeah. So there have been people who
later today.
It's neat. So I do have names of people who have died or have died because of a gunfight here or a knife fight or something. So I think a lot of them are male, and they enjoy being here because it was a roadhouse. It was lawless, basically, and they come here and they had their way with women. And for the women, it wasn't a good place. It was a crib brothel, which is like the lower category of brothels. They probably lived here on the property. They probably traded out their these things for food and board, basically. So they weren't making any money, and they lived in these small little rooms, and there might have been dirt floors, so it wasn't great. So I can get why some of the resident ghosts were female and they didn't have a good life here, and for some reason, I don't know if they were trapped here, but they just were here. So one of the cool stories that happened since our last podcast story, this was 2021, and so I'm asleep in the room with the headboard. This is before the headboard opened up and I saw the portal. And I feel, I start dreaming, and I've learned over the years that when I'm dreaming, and then all of a sudden the dream shifts to something kind of scary, like ghosty, and it feels weird. The first few years, I would just force myself to go back to sleep, or I would just power through it and have these really vivid nightmares. But then I realized that once that happens, I need to wake myself up because it's something that's actually in the room.
Yeah.
So this is happening. And so I wake myself up and I look over to the left side, and I feel this very aggressive male energy, this male spirit, and my legs feel a little bit like they can't move, but I can move everything else. So I'm like, okay, getting ready to fight this thing off, physically and mentally, which I've had to do a lot over the years. And then I roll over to the right side, and right by my bedside table, there's this little ghost girl. And I had never seen a ghost. She's still the only one in all my years I've actually seen, where I don't know if she revealed herself to me because she needed me to see her to feel like she was protecting me. But I remember I looked right at her, and I was as close as we are, Lorenzo, where I'm arm's length away, and I'm looking right at her, and I can see the makeup on her eyes, and I can see her hair's pulled back in a tight bun, and she's Hispanic, and she looks between the ages of 12 to 18, and she's wearing old dress, and I'm making sure, going through my checklist, are you awake, what time is it, and I'm just staring right at her, and she won't look at me, but she's staring very stoically forward. And as soon as I saw her, that negative energy from the man spirit dissipated, and I just watched her. And at one point she had this weird red glow that lit up her face a little bit, and she wasn't not transparent or see-through, but it was you can tell that she wasn't really human, in human form. She wasn't there.
Right.
And I just watched her, and then eventually she just kind of was gone. And so I got up my iPhone after a few minutes of not being scared, and it was cool. I was like, this is crazy, because I actually saw this, and if she walked in this trolley right now, I would recognize her. Yeah.
Yeah.
So she, I think, was a guardian for me. And so during the Ghost Adventures filming, so I had not told anybody that story except for friends and stuff.
Yeah.
And so my neighbor, Samantha, who I think I mentioned in the last one, her family built this property in the 1880s. And it's still, her family's still around. She grew up in the house next door. She now lives there with her kids as an adult. And she's a professional psychic and medium, and it's legit. She's got powers.
That's so cool.
And she came over for the Ghost Adventures filming. So I asked her, since she knows the property, she's done cleansings over here, she's part of the story, and I hadn't seen her in 4 or 5 years, and I go out to shake her hand, and she goes, there's a Lolita crawls into bed with you at night. And I said, yeah, she does, and I've seen her, it was crazy. And since I've been there, since the first night, you'd feel this presence come into the room, and it would crawl on the bed, and it doesn't have the weight of a human form, but it has the mass, so the size of it, but it feels like a cat on the bed, very light, right? But you can feel it. And she would come in and lie next to me, and it wasn't weird, it wasn't creepy or sexual, it just felt very like a motherly sort of thing, very nurturing. And then other times she'd come in the room, and I wouldn't feel her next to me, but I feel her above my head, floating. And I just felt she had her own little imprint, her own energy that I recognized. Yeah. So I think she was here protecting me, especially when that spirit came, that bad one. And I saw her, and I felt instantly okay, she's here for me, Yeah. So that was really, really cool and amazing. And then
I wouldn't even know what to do with that information. I would just be okay, so like you said, going through the checklist. All right, am I awake? What do we do?
Yeah, no, you just do it. And I'm this is unbelievable, and I could describe her, and just it was crazy. But I thought initially, because she was young. Yeah. And I thought, maybe she grew up here, her mom worked here, and so she grew up, and she would maybe she was a server, she'd bring the guys a whiskey or a beer, and that might have been the case. But then a few years after, I had another, group of psychics come through, and this one was, I think, from Arizona, so she didn't know anything about the property. They tried to go in there blind, basically, not knowing history and stuff. And she said, basically, she was able, she's there's a female here. And I said, yeah. I was can you see her? She's I can see her. And I was well, I saw her. can you describe her to me? And she's like, well, she's got her hair up in a bun. And I was like, oh my God. Like, wow. So she saw her.
Correct.
And she said they made her look older than she actually was with the makeup. And she said she was a worker here. She was one of the prostitutes that was forced to be here. She wasn't here. She was a child. She was probably 12 or 13.
But I mean, like you said, it was lawless. So like, I mean, at this point,
and this place was like outside of the city limits for a long time. So, the sawmill was right across the street, right here to the north of us.
That building? That's
it was like, so 12th Street dead-ended right here at Bellamo, which back then this was Indian School Road. And the entrance to the sawmill was right here. Okay. And then so the sawmill just sprawled like, this huge stacks of lumber just right across the street. So you had this, early 1900s, mostly men here, ratio of like 5 or 10 guys to every female. So
it's
this
almost like mining towns where it's like their paychecks are just going across the street.
Oh, yeah.
Like that's.
Oh yeah. It was just like right there. So, but then just to bring the story full circle, so we're doing the Brews and Booze tour here this past Friday, so 2 days ago, and I invited a friend of mine who is a psychic who's been here. She was interviewed for Ghost Adventures. It didn't make the cut because she was being snarky to Zach, and she was like, he's a D word, but she came, and so we were talking afterwards, and she picks up on stuff, and she's, there's still this, and there's still this, and I was okay. And she's told me, later Friday night, I'm with some friends, and she texts me, and she's like, you need to call me because I made a promise to a spirit that I would tell you something. And I'm like, okay. So I called her. I'm not even surprised by this anymore. Sure. Okay. One more thing. Got it. Yeah, so I called her, and she said, the little girl, she said, she came when I was driving home, and she revealed herself to me in the car, like, not revealed herself, but she was able to present who she was, or she sees her in her mind's eye or whatever. I don't know how it works. And she said her name is Maria, and she's like, I offered to cross her over, and she's like, she finally let me do it. Wow. She's gone now, which is great, because I felt like I don't want her to be trapped here. Yeah. And I moved out and moved in with my girlfriend around April of this year. And, my friend who was a psychic was saying, she felt different. Things are different now that you're not here, because she felt like she had to protect you, and you're one of the good guys. And she said now it's full of not so good guys, not the people that live here or stay here now, but I think these other spirits that have come through are kind of taking over. And she was kind of sad that I had left, which is real sad. I was like, this is awful.
You're like, you can leave too. It's okay. Like, we'll both go. It's okay.
Like, I appreciate everything she's done, because we did have like a really interesting like connection and relationship, because there were times where things got real scary, and I would look for her, and I think that they were holding her back because she was just one girl basically, but she was able to cross her over. And so I felt like, man, I don't know if she was trapped here, if you can be trapped, or if she just felt she had to be here for me. But I moved out and moved around the corner. So she's gone, which is, I feel good, because I don't want anybody to be trapped here. I hope that's not how it works. I hope you don't die and then you're trapped somewhere and you can't, go to the next, whatever the next thing is. So
that's so interesting.
That's crazy.
I want to know more, but do you want to take a quick break?
We'll take a quick break, and we will be right back.
All right. All right, we're back.
We are back. Sorry, we were talking ghost shop on the break too. Ghost shop. So I want to know a little bit about sort of what you think kicks up activity here, and also what is the most surprising thing that has happened to you?
Well, that's a great question. I mean, we just started renovating, last February, we started renovating what was the old saloon. So when I moved in, everything was like, they're all apartments, basically. So the saloon part hadn't been done yet. It was, the GI carpet still, the drop ceiling. The bathroom was like up 3 or 4 steps to what used to be able to the loading dock, the grocery store and saloon. So it was weird and just ugly. So we renovated that, which was awesome. Because it's a saloon, it's the Swastika Saloon, and that's where you would enter to go back to the brothel. So it's finished now, and we've had it open for just over a year. It was July of last year. But so getting into the renovations, I think, are what kind of kicks stuff up a little bit. So we had, you know, in the other rooms, you peel back the shag carpet and you have the original hardwood floors, like being protected by like an inch layer of ugly carpet. So I assumed in the saloon, you know, the same thing was going to happen. So we pulled back that carpet and there's plywood planks like all across the floor. And then they had drywall anchored into the plywall above, like in front of the original adobe. And the contractor was like, F word, you know? He's like, this is going to be, I was like, I need to see what's below the plywood because I want to see the original floors. Yeah. So you removed all the plywood and all the drywall, which there's no way I would let drywall be in there. You want the original adobe, the original like structure. And because it has all this energy, is all wrapped up in the walls, the adobe and the floor. So we pulled off the plywood and the floor was like not in great condition, but I was like, we need to just fill in the gaps. There's like missing planks. We did it. So there's original pieces of the floor that we couldn't refurbish because it was like too far gone. But I think it's where the bar was because you can see where it's worn down with somebody like walking back and forth, pacing back and forth. Yeah. So I think that kicks up the energy quite a bit. And then certain people, like I remember maybe 8 months ago, there was a lady who came and stayed the night by herself and she was into the ghost stuff. And we were talking at happy hour and she's like, I know it's haunted. You know, I read about it. I know it's haunted. Like, me too. And yeah, she's like, so I'm going to, you know, stay here. And then the next night I was talking to her again because she stayed here she had 4-night reservation. And so the next night she's like, I barely slept last night. And they kept on, like she's sensitive, so they like reach out to her and she's like, they kept like annoying me and they kept talking to me and I couldn't sleep. So she's like, I slept on the couch the entire night. It was like awful. And then the next night she was like, more stuff had happened. And then she didn't even sleep there. She slept at a friend's, she was in town for a conference, so she stayed with a friend at the hotel. Yeah. And then the next morning she texted me and she's like, it's just too much, I'm leaving. She's like, don't worry about a refund. She's like, I just can't stay here. So I think it's people also, if they have abilities or they attract that kind of spiritual energy, that kicks up the stuff as well. So
that's interesting. It's I guess it would make sense that some people are maybe more susceptible or like open to that kind of stuff.
Yeah, if you're like the ghost whisperer and you're a spirit and you're like trying to make yourself known and doing all these things and they don't get it because they're not a believer and they're like, oh, it's the wind or whatever. But then somebody comes in and they can hear you or they can see you and you can talk to them. You're probably going to, yeah.
For sure.
So I used to, and I've changed my tune lately, but I used to when they would come in, I would like recognize that they were there. I'd be like, I feel you, and like talk to them. And then if they got to be kind of bad, I would yell, get out, get out, get out. And I've woken myself up almost screaming that before too, just get out, get out, get out. And now I just ignore them. So I think that if they know that you know they're there, they're going to try to like, and I don't know, there's like, is it unfinished business? Do I need to help them do something? But I would have no idea. How would I do it? Because I can't hear them. I don't have abilities. Like I know what it feels like from living here for nearly a decade. So I know what it feels like. But I don't walk into other places around the country and I'm like, oh, I see dead people. Yeah. But I can feel. I know what it feels like. Yeah. And I think that sometimes they come to me because I can be like, okay, I recognize it. I feel it. I know what it feels like. They have like a certain energy they vibrate at, and it's unmistakable. You know.
So have you ever had anybody, like, other than the lady you were just talking, like, get up and leave in the middle of the night or be like, nope, not going to stay here because something weird happened to me and I'm just not going to stay here?
Yeah, there's been a few, and there was one, so I'll read you this text because she just sent it, and I was like, oh, very timely. So she sent this, she was here, let's see, like Thursday and Friday night, and we were talking about ghost stuff.
Did you ever get tired of talking about ghost stuff?
No, I mean kind of, but it's easy conversation to have, you know, and people are interested in it, so I get it, and it's fun now. You know, it's 12:30 on a Sunday, and we're talking about ghosts, and it's like daytime and stuff.
In an amazing trolley with beer in it, like it doesn't get much better than that, to be honest.
Yeah. So it's good. It's like jokey, like, oh, I've been attacked in my sleep, and there's been demons and blah blah blah, whatever. But then, you know. Darkness falls and it's 1 a.m. and you're awoken by something, and it's not as fun. It's not cool. So I was here for 9.5 years. In the last few months I was living here, I had just this terrible anxiety about going to sleep at night. I wouldn't go to bed till 2 or 3 because I knew right away. I mean, they were just, it was like every night something was happening. And it wasn't scary, it was annoying. It was like having a neighbor that's partying all the time or dog barking.
Just trying to get some solid sleep here.
And they're noisy. They come in the room, they like trip and fall over stuff, and you hear things moving. And you hear
the ghosts are drunk.
They are, and they come up on the bed. You can feel them come on the bed, and so now anytime like the sheets move a little bit, I'm like, was that you? You know, to my girlfriend, is that you? Because I'm like, it's really weird, done a real number on me. Like it's like a PTSD type of thing.
Oh wow.
And then they would like one time I remember recently looking up at the ceiling. I still have the headboard, so it's still there, even though they were like, you're dumb. I'm like, I get it, but it's you know, I don't have anything else. I need a headboard. It's just like more work to do.
Albuquerque, if you can get this man a headboard,
yeah,
please.
Still need one actually.
Not a haunted one, but
yeah, exactly.
Preferably not a portal.
Yeah, no portals, please. But I remember like feeling this thing come in, and I'm like still awake, and I'm like, it's like 2:30. I'm like, oh damn it, here it comes. And I look up, and it's dark in the room, and there's this weird like black lacy cloud type thing, like a spider webby sort of thing that comes floating down, and it's like spiraling out like Stranger Things-esque type of thing. And I'm looking at it, and I'm watching it kind of make its way. I'm like, is that like I haven't been asleep yet, so I'm like just lying down. And it comes down close to me, and I feel the energy on it, so I kind of bat at it, and it goes,
go away.
Like flies up like a jellyfish, like floats up. And I was like, oh, okay, so that was something.
Yeah,
so they come in different forms and do different things. But like I told you earlier, I used to be like the person that wanted to go stay at the haunted places.
Now you're like, I just want to get some freaking sleep.
I do. Like I don't want to. It's changed living here. So we stayed in Santa Fe. My girlfriend and I for our anniversary back in April at La Posada, which is awesome. Historic hotel, haunted.
Also haunted, yeah.
So we're going to bed, and this thing, like right around midnight or whatever, it doesn't matter what time it is. It's just that's about what time it was. It's not the witching hour. It's dark out. It comes in the room when I'm not sleeping, and I feel it like at the foot of the bed. And then it comes up on the bed, and I'm like, get out. My girlfriend's asleep. I'm like, get out.
It's our anniversary. Leave us alone.
Yeah, and she gets up and goes to the bathroom. She comes back, and she's like, there's a ghost in here. And I was like, yes, for the past hour. And it kept me up the entire night. And it was just, it was not fun. You couldn't go to sleep because it feels like there's somebody watching you, and they are, or they're on the bed. It's like an icky feeling. It's like gross, you know?
Yeah. That's how I felt in Portland.
That's exactly how it was at the Crystal Hotel in Portland. No, for sure. It was an icky feeling.
Yeah.
I totally get that. I totally get that.
Just like the watched thing. I don't know. Maybe that might be in my head. And,
no, because I felt it too. And it was like one of those things where we were both kind of like tossing and turning, and we're like what? Like, what is this? Like, it was like you were so wound up, and you just could not relax. You couldn't settle in because it just felt like somebody was like,
yeah. Well, I want to hear the text too.
Yeah, the text.
Yeah, sorry. I was.
We distracted.
This is what ADHD times 2 in a married couple looks like. It's just like rabbit hole. We'll get there.
If you want an entertaining morning, come to our house
before
about
coffee.
7 o'clock, and
Welcome to the shit show.
Oh, okay, yeah, actually I just texted it to my friend who's a psychic that saw the little Maria girl cross over, so that'll be easy.
I need to talk to a good psychic. I have some questions. Many questions, actually.
So here's the text. This is from a guest that stayed. She stayed here. It was Friday night. She texted me this Saturday morning. Good morning! ! So, I didn't want to say anything last night because I thought I was maybe dreaming, but I saw the same guy in my room again last night. It still could be a dream, but I've seen ghosts in the past. It's so weird though. Have you heard of a guy that's in a yellow and white 50s burger joint uniform, paper hats they used to wear? The first night, he just slipped into our bedroom along the wall quick and disappeared. Last night, same thing, but he held out a burger to me and was laughing.
That sounds awesome.
Which is creepy, right?
It is a little creepy though in the middle of the night.
It's like taunting you, like
Are you
hungry? Weird. I was picturing good burger.
Yeah, here. Yeah, definitely not that. Not a good burger.
And she said, "Was I just dreaming?" ? The only thing I could think of is the grocery store that was here then, maybe. Also, there was a blood-curdling scream here last night. It sounded like it came from the room next to us. but it could have been from outside on the street side. I don't know, but it really freaked me out. LOL.
LOL. I don't know.
Oh, interesting.
That would be
I'm inclined to think the burger thing is maybe because there's not a burger connection here, but it could be that a guy just came through because of the portal and things come through here and it's attached because there's all kinds of little ghosts here. So all of my little buddies are here. We're gonna hang out. It's like a new Lawless Roadhouse, do whatever again. But I think that was probably a dream, but who knows?
You should probably start serving burgers here.
Yeah, there it is. That's what it was.
That's really what it is.
That's what it is.
You need to wear yellow. 1950s garb.
You got it. Yeah, there needs to be a burger. There should be like a haunted burger party. I feel
like the guy offering a burger and laughing and like,
it's a cursed burger.
Yeah, nice.
Was there green chili? Could you see green chili on the burger? If you saw green, it probably did happen. If there wasn't chili on it, you probably did it because this is New Mexico.
Right.
We don't eat regular burgers.
Great. Now I'm hungry.
I feel like if I was a ghost, though, like of all the things I could haunt people with, I wouldn't be like handing them a burger. I don't know. I'm like, of all the things. I always think about ghosts. Like, I don't know if you've seen that show, Los Spookies.
Oh, awesome.
Fred
Armisen.
I always picture, like, so I want ghosts to be like the little demon lady. Like, that's what I picture. I'm like, that's what I want,
She's kind of
well, she's
scary.
creepy looking, but like, when she talks, you're just like, oh.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. That's what I want.
And I think they're, like, I've had experiences here. Most of the time they're ghosts or whatever that is, where it was formerly human, I think.
Yeah.
And then there's other entities that, according to the psychics, they were not once human. They've never been human. They were demons. Like there's this one instance with Succubus, which is profiled on the Ghost Adventures show. But I listen to a lot of paranormal podcasts.
Yeah. And
I've come up with, like, kind of a theory. So I think that ghosts, basically, similar to, so it's like this. Most of them that I found here are male.
Yeah.
And I think that they're scared of maybe how they lived in life, and they don't want to know, they don't want to cross over because they think they might be going to hell.
They're worried about judgment.
So there's this,
I've thought about that.
You get like a small window, and like, here's the light or whatever it is. Do I go into it, and does that light go straight down?
Like, does that catapult me to wherever I...
Yeah, so I think that they were crappy people in life.
Yep.
And so instead, they stick around this, like, limbo thing, and there's no rules for them. They're stuck, but there's no rules. They can mess with you. They were crappy in life. They'd be crappy as a spirit.
They're still in their own...
So they get off on, like, taunting you. And when my dog was here, Murray, they would torment him and taunt him, and I think that they're just crappy people in life, and they remain crappy in death, and they don't want to play by the rules of the universe. And so they just, no one tells them what to do, and they just kind of band together and they just kind of pick on people. I think that's mostly what it is. And I think the little girl, Maria, I think that maybe she wasn't a crappy person, obviously, but she just didn't know how to cross over or how to leave or whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's what I've
actually thought about that too, and that makes a lot of sense to me, because I think if you have like a moral compass in life and you feel like I did some really crappy things.
Yeah, you're scared of what maybe is going to happen.
Of like, if you think there's a judgment or you're still there after your physical body dies, you're like, oh crap, like I'm in trouble, right? So like, I don't want to pay for that. I don't want to have to take responsibility for all that stuff. So I'm just going to hang out here and just prolong this.
Yeah, it's like there's no rules. You can do whatever you want. There's people who are like your prey. You can mess with them, be like a little jokester and stuff,
That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I feel like we'll never really know until we get there.
Yeah.
But hopefully, hopefully I don't get stuck,
I don't know.
somewhere crappy.
For me, I don't know if I've had any sort of like experiences outside like a handful, but I remain.
I haven't, but I have.
I mean, just a handful.
Yeah,
like 5.
Well, there's just like the Portland thing, and then one time, like in college, I spent the night at my friend's house, and I woke up and there was like a room full of people, and I'm like, okay, do you guys see this? My friend and his girlfriend are in the same room, and they're like.
But your friend's girlfriend was into some weird shit too.
Yeah.
Like I feel like
I'm like, do you guys see like there's like a bunch of tall figures, and they're really dark. And like they're all around. You guys see this, and I started to freak out because they wouldn't wake up. And I'm like, am I dreaming? Like, what is this? But like outside of those two,
that's pretty
very specific things.
That's a pretty good one.
It was pretty terrifying, but like, I don't know. I was just like, I don't know, hungover or what. But
well, I also feel like New Mexico, and I say this all the time, and I'm going to bring it back to New Mexico because I always do. I feel like the land here is also really, I don't say charged, that sounds really hokey.
No, but that makes sense.
But
exactly. I would say it is kind of charged.
There's a lot of stuff. I mean, there's been a lot of bloodshed. There's been
Conflict.
generations of conflict.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's been, I mean, Native Americans here for
So
way
there's-
before even the conflicts
Yeah.
we're talking about. I mean, there's just so much
There's
here.
a history, the New Mexico history person, I don't know what his title is, but his last name is Martinez, and I was watching this interview with him, and he was saying, like, there's this weird, like, not weird, but it's sort of like a forgotten period, like, the Spanish era was over, we're still like a territory that, you know, we're sort of untouched, not a whole lot of population, but during this time there was, did you ever read the book, Bless Me Ultima?
No.
With like, so
I didn't grow up here, so it wasn't forced on me.
It was like reading.
Yeah, I should though. I should.
required
It's kind of on my list. It's
but
probably,
like,
yeah.
people were very spiritual, not just with like Catholicism, but like with curanderas and brujas, and like very, very much in that sort of like realm. You know what I mean? And like even Catholicism, from what I understand, is not like closely monitored because we're so rural, and like you have this.
Well, and you have that intermixing of like traditional folk, like magic and practice in there too. So it's kind of this hybrid.
Yeah, maybe the land is charged. I mean, and
no, I feel it. I think you're onto something.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. And I've talked about us when we lived in Santa Fe when we were first married. I always felt like that area in Santa Fe that we lived in was really, I don't say heavy, but it felt heavy. Like there was a lot there.
Like,
and it was a beautiful area, like physically beautiful, really, really old area of Santa Fe off Agua Fria, by kind of by the plaza. Yeah. And that's where your family, you know, for generations lived. But that land there just always felt really heavy to me.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting to me.
I believe all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to circle back around to cleansings, and I want to ask you, kind of, what do you do in a case where maybe you think your space is haunted or there's something there, based on your experience? What would you say you should do, and what would you say you should not do?
Well, as far as, I mean, I think don't go and just start doing something you don't know what you're doing.
Right.
There are people who will come and do this, and I've met dozens over the years. And tonight, actually, we're doing another investigation. There's people who are coming here to do stuff.
Is it a show, or is it just?
It's actually, and if you grew up in Albuquerque, you know this name, TJ Trout. He was on 94 Rock in the mornings, and he always has Cynthia Hess was a local psychic. So they're coming here tonight with Cody Polston.
Okay, yes, I've seen Cody's work.
Yeah, and he's written books on ghosts in Albuquerque, and they're coming here to do an investigation. But I would probably turn to, if you feel like you're being haunted or you have a ghost, I would go on like Facebook or Instagram or social media and post something and ask, do you know somebody? And then talk to them and say, well, what's your method? What have you done before? You know, it's so weird because they're all different. Like I showed the video during the Brews and Booze tour of them doing this demon trap, which it worked. I felt like it worked. Like it made me feel better. The energy changed.
Well, as we look at it.
Yeah, and then the other people who were also a psychic, and they do cleansings, they're like, oh, and they let you keep it, and you should have, and then this, and you burned the Ouija. I mean, there's so many different conflicting things.
Different schools of thought on maybe certain.
Yeah, but I mean, I tend to. So Samantha Madrid, she's the neighbor. She's on Instagram at Sacred Moon, SAKRID. She's legit. She's the one, her family built this place. She grew up here. She does this for a living, so she embraces it. So I would reach out to her. She's done 3 or 4 cleansings here. I can always feel a difference. Like she knows what she's doing.
Yeah.
And there's people that have done cleansings here where I'm like, I don't know that they knew what they were doing, and I don't know. So it always feels different though after, we had told Samantha that there were spirits that followed us to our new house, and she did a cleansing here this past February on the full moon. And I said, you need to come to our house now. And she's like, no, I cleansed it. I severed the link. And then sure enough, things were fine. But then we went on our ghost tour with some friends, Albuquerque Ghost Walk. And that night, stuff was happening. Really crazy stuff was happening. And now it's been happening ever since. So I don't know if I brought something from that tour.
You say really crazy. What do you mean? I'm sorry.
So we got home from that tour, so it's called.
I'm sorry, I'm so fascinated by
it's
this.
good.
I'm like, I don't know how much time do you have?
It's still daylight, so we're good.
The sunsets were out.
Yeah. Bye, been fun. See you later. Have fun in your trolley alone.
I know. So we do the Albuquerque Ghost Walk in Old Town, and it's part pub crawl, part ghost tour. So we get back to our house in the downtown-ish area. And it's a new house, 2020.
Yeah.
And we're watching like a movie or something, and we have this new dog, Ipa, named like IPA. Ipa.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And she's, kind of near the TV, and she's like barking or whatever, and she never barks. She's been like weird and stuff. And like right at midnight, all the lights turn out because I have them like on like Alexa timers and stuff. So they go out and it's like no big deal. But the TV turns off, goes to black, and the Blu-ray comes on. And so basically it just had switched the input so the TV goes black. So not a big deal, and I get it. But like nothing touched the Blu-ray to do that. The remote's not near me. And so we're all, okay, that's interesting. And I'm like, oh, well, what it was the Blu-ray switched the input.
You're like, rationalization, let's
so
go.
I'm like, let's not panic.
Yeah.
But then my phone's sitting next to me, and my girlfriend gets up to go to the bathroom, and I'm like, honey, you're FaceTiming me. My phone starts FaceTiming. And I'm like, you're FaceTiming me? And she's like, my phone's in the bedroom. And I hear, like, on the other side of the house, her phone ringing, and I'm like, okay, that's weird. And so...
I'm like getting creeped out. I'm like seriously, I'm starting to get like
goosebumps. It was real weird.
Yeah.
So the next morning I was like, what, like, how did your phone do that? And it turned out my phone had FaceTimed her. So my phone was like FaceTiming her. And so I think these things can manipulate electronics. I've had weird things happen here when I was living here where like I'd be listening to Pandora going to sleep at night, little speaker, and then all of a sudden I would hear like piano playing.
We had that happen in our house. Do you remember that? When we woke up in the middle of the night and there was like that music playing and I was like, what is that?
I don't remember that.
Our speaker just went off in the middle of the night and it was calm. Yeah.
And I've had another time where it was the morning time and I was hearing voices and I said, Alexis, I thought maybe I fell asleep with the podcast, and the podcast came on, and I said, I pressed the pause button to stop it, and she goes, what would you like me to play next? And I was like, oh shit. So I was hearing voice, like I've heard the whole conversation that was happening at my bedside, and it was really happening. It wasn't coming from the speaker. So I don't know. I think they're able to manipulate the energy from electronics. We've seen the smoke detector do weird stuff like shooting a beam of light out of it. I mean, it's weird stuff where that's why I don't live here anymore. It got to be too much, and if I hadn't met my girlfriend Candy, and I would have stayed here still, but it was kind of like she saved me from maybe...
She's like, look, it's time for us to move. It's time for you to go.
There were times, there was one time in particular where it wasn't too long ago, something came into the room, and in my mind's eye, I didn't see them in my eyes, I could see them, and there was like 6 guys came into the room, and there was one guy, like a creepy old man wearing like a beat up cowboy hat, and he had like a cane with like a rattle on it, and he was right to my legs, like doing weird stuff with a rattle, and my heart was racing.
Nope.
And it was like they wouldn't leave, and I was looking for the ghost girl, Maria, and that's the time where I think that they were way too oppressive, and they wouldn't let her in the room. And it was, I describe it like if you've seen Hocus Pocus, where the witches like suck the life from the children, they're like breathing in their aura. It felt like that. And I'm just terrified. I've never been scared here until that one time. And I was thinking to myself, like, am I stupid for staying here? And then it went away. And then 5 minutes later, it came back to like feed on me more. And it just was like, it was like terror. I've never experienced terror. That was like terror. It was scary.
Yeah, I would have been out like the first instance.
But it's like, but it's like, where do I go?
Yeah.
Or like, you're invested here all this morning. So like, I would never drive off in the middle of the night. You hear stories like that.
Yeah.
They left in the middle of the night, left all their stuff. Who would do that? Nobody would do that. That just makes for like a crazy story.
Yeah,
which I was
like really
going back to. Like, people just like want to hear. We like hearing stories, good stories, and they're great. But it's like I try to tell them like as it actually happens. Right. So they're not I woke up and it was, 3:13 a.m. and it just doesn't it doesn't happen like that. It just doesn't. Not here, at least.
It's interesting, our intersection between like lore and like what we think a good ghost story should have versus the experience that people actually share. You're like, okay, yeah, I get it. Like, you're just trying to fluff the story a little bit. Like, cool.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Is there a certain place in the compound? Is it like, in the area building compound? I don't know what you refer to it as, but that seems to be the most active or the most haunted. Is there like a room in particular, or is it just kind of all over the place?
Where I lived, my apartment, which was the owner's suite. So I lived there for 9.5 years, and so now I have some guests that have moved in on like a month-to-month type of thing.
Oh, wow.
And so I've named that suite
bold.
like Jessie, Jessie, because all the other rooms are like IE. So there's Jessie, there's Lizzie, Lottie, and Charlie, named after Charlie, who ran the saloon and grocery store. So they're in there now, but that's where, I never slept in any of the other rooms here.
Okay.
So I think mine was most haunted, because I would have stuff come in during the night, and I would feel like I'm being possessed, and then I would talk to the people staying on the other side of my bed, basically through 2 feet of adobe. And I'm like, did anything happen last night? And they're like, oh, we slept fine, So
You're like, so
that
it's
apartment,
cool.
I think, is really, really active. And even when my friend was here the other day for the ghost tour, she was like, that shadow thing's back. And I'm like, okay, So I think that one is the most haunted. But in terms of ones you can book overnight, the Lottie suite, the 2-bedroom, there's 1 bedroom. You walk down this hallway, it's on the left-hand side. So on the west end, that's where I hear people saying most of the stuff. Like there was a guy from San Diego a few months ago, like a dude's dude, like a bro.
Yeah.
And I'm telling ghost stories.
A Zach Baggins kind of man?
Like a Zach Baggins type of dude. And he's like not believing in ghosts, didn't know this place was haunted. And so I'm telling ghost stories. He's been a good sport about it, whatever, And then the next day he texts me. And he was in that bedroom. And I didn't say that was a bedroom that like stuff goes off in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he was saying, he's like, dude, I just had the scariest moment of my life last night. He's like, for like a minute, I woke up and there was something on me and I couldn't move. It was like paralyzing me. Like something was on me and it felt female and it was like forcing me into the bed. I'm like, well, I've had the same thing happen before.
Like, I wasn't going to tell you I told you so, but...
I'm all, that's I told you. Like, dude, so I'm glad you have had an experience now and stuff, So this place, people are staying here having experiences and just telling these tales all across the country, in the world.
What good publicity, though, for real.
Right.
It's like, I think it's cool that you've like embraced it and you've kind of made it part of its identity. And you're like, you know what, it is what it is. If you're into that, come on down. If not, okay, fine, have a beer at least in the trolley during the day.
It's the real deal. I'm not manufacturing these stories. We're not promoting ourselves as like, this is not haunted Bed and Brew, but there are ghosts here. And so it's also a warning, like if you're not into it, maybe don't stay here. And if you are, then we welcome you to come and have an experience, because it's not everybody has had something, It's like a really interesting to have like a legitimate ghostly, paranormal, something you can't explain experience. And I think that this is a place where you can really have that.
Yeah. I think it's really cool too, like the connection with history too, like the building, the trolley, the pictures, like you just think about all of this, I guess, lived experience from other humans, and it's just, I don't know, that I'm fascinated with that. Like I'm looking at your pictures, I'm looking at your license plates. We're in the trolley.
I know,
we're on this
great.
historic piece of land. I don't know. It's really fun, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, the property, it almost is alive. It has like it's and you can feel it. Some days it's like hurting, and some days it's good and positive, and there's other days where it feels a little dark, and it's like a living creature basically,
Which is really cool. So if somebody wants to come and stay here, how can they find you? What's the system? What do they need to do? And tell us a little bit about how you can stay here if you want to, and sort of what they can expect.
Right. So you can book breakfastisoverrated.com or bedandbrew.com. Got that domain.
Nice.
So stay the night. If you don't want to stay the night, you can also we have a page on the site for Ghost Light Saloon, or you can go to ghostlightsaloon.com and you can come to our happy hour we do every day with guests between 5:05 and 6. It's ticketed, so it's $15. You get a free beer with it, and you get an extra hour. So it's $15 for 2 hours and a free drink, basically. So you're in this trolley car with people who are staying the night, or come on our Brews and Booze tour. That's $35 on Hold My Ticket. Gets a free beer as well as 2 hours of tour and seeing the demon traps and the Ouija board burning, all that crazy stuff. Or if you want to book this Ghost Light Saloon for a 40th birthday party or a special occasion.
Hint.
Yeah.
I might be doing that in November. We'll see.
Yeah.
We got those up on Hold My Ticket as well, which is a local ticketing platform. Those are available 6:30 to 9, so you're paying a fee for the trolley for the Ghost Light Saloon. It's just you, 13 people total, so there's 13 seats in here. there, and you get a private bartender, and we've got 8 local beers on tap. Our own beer coming soon. We got a hard cider. We got a hard seltzer. Got snacks. So
that's cool. That's so fun. I love this little trolley. I mean, we're just kind of hanging out in here, but this is so.
It's a rad place to drink a beer, just hang out in, right? Like it's like a secret, like it's a clubhouse. It feels cool.
Yeah, and it's air conditioned. And
I know, even better. And you also run the trolley here in Albuquerque. Tell us a little bit about that.
So Mike Silva and I started ABQ Trolley Co. back in 2009 with a trolley, not this trolley, but an actual trolley we had built in Medford, Oregon. So it's the only. Oregon.
Yeah, Lindsay's from Oregon.
Yeah, I just remember that thing.
It's an open air trolley. It's covered in stucco, which is super cool. It goes by Painted Lady. Actually, I saw it when I was coming here this morning. Actually, which was really cool.
There's my trolley. There it goes.
So we've got the trolley. We have the Albuquerque Ghost Walk, which I mentioned is super cool. The Duke City Peddler, which is our 14-person party bike that does a little loop around the Old Town Plaza of different breweries, and then ABQ in a Box, which is real big during the holidays. If you have somebody who's moved away, like a brother, and they want a taste of the city, abqinabox.com, and our website for that is just tourabq.com.
Nice. You have a lot of stuff going. That's great.
But I love that it's all local stuff. That's awesome. And these are all really good ideas for celebrating local, buying local for the holidays, staycationing local if you want, and then just doing something fun for like the Halloween season. It's coming up. That's this is our Halloween episode. So
Is it
very exciting? Yeah,
this is the Halloween episode.
Yes, you are it. You're the Halloween episode. So
go to our site. Also, there's an upcoming events tab, and so we're opening up this like beer garden area again. We haven't done it since COVID, so we got magic shows happening. We've got a paint night coming up soon. So it's back. It's back. It's cool.
All right. Yes, you get it.
Before the important question, can I real quick? Our camera stopped working, so this is going to be on YouTube. But
is it haunted or did it just?
I don't know.
It does. This when Ghost Adventures was here and other places, they do have issues with draining batteries. So
no, the battery's just like completely toasted, and I charged it, so I don't know.
Who knows?
Like
Who knows?
Yeah.
But it has happened. So.
But we'll have some of it on YouTube. But anyways, like I wanted to show, and maybe I'll put a picture. The sticker.
So take some.
Well, what's the butterfly in the lantern? Is there any background behind? Did you already mention that? Or?
In the first episode.
No, I didn't. But I wanted it to be Painted Lady. So Painted Lady was a term used for prostitutes in the 1800s because proper women did not wear makeup. So our logo for that is like the corset with a butterfly, and the butterfly's wings are like hops, like hop plant. Okay, it's like the hoppy butterfly. Painted Lady is also a type of butterfly. So if you look at the mural over there to your right side, you have like the Painted Lady, who I interpret it as she used to work here, but she's made it out of that life. She has gold earrings, she's nicely dressed, and she's looking at a butterfly, which I think is like her former self, kind of flying off into the night, and also representing all these women who, I don't know their names, who worked here, and were, not enslaved, but they did not have a good life here. So on the Ghost Light logo, you've got a woman who's like a ghost wearing the corset. You've got the butterfly, and she's holding the lantern like a ghost holding a light this is like the beam of light coming from it, so ghost light. So she's like kind of trying to find her way.
I love that. No, these stickers are really cool. I like this. I think last time we had looked at we saw the other ones, which were really cool too. You have a lot of good merch.
Whatever. I got a lot of stickers. Yeah. I got one of your guys' stickers from last time.
We need to redo stickers. We've been really bad about that. Since before COVID, we're like, we should make more stickers.
Yeah.
Still working on that.
Sign an Image Factory up in Knob Hill. Those are the guys.
All right.
Hey, there you go. Shout out.
Sign an Image.
Okay. Good to know. Good to know. I know. I like the local referral.
I have the JPEG or whatever the file is. So let's just get it done.
Let's get it done.
All right. So last question, and I don't know if you want to change this up from the last episode, but red or green?
Oh, it has changed, because last time I guessed before Ryan even asked it, I said green.
Yeah, you did your homework.
Yeah, I think I go now Christmas, although I feel weird saying Christmas. It feels like it was just something we made up for tourists, so I usually just say both.
Yeah.
That's kind of true. I feel like Christmas is more of like it's like a tourist shtick.
I heard the background story sometime, but I don't remember exactly what it was. But anyways, yeah, so that's good. Yeah, both.
I never do red alone. I'll either do red with green or just green. I never do red alone. For some reason, I don't know. I just need the green. Love the green.
So if you're going to go somewhere locally or maybe statewide, we'll open it up a little bit. Where do you go? And what do you order?
I mean, I think I had never ordered enchiladas in my life until a week ago. We were in Santa Fe at Harry's Roadhouse, and they had these like turkey red chili enchiladas with blue corn, and I was like, I'm doing it. I've never ordered enchiladas. I've had them obviously, but I've never ordered it. I'm always like a salsapapilla, tacos, or burrito, and so that was awesome. It was my first time there. It did not disappoint.
I have not been there yet, and it's on my list also.
I've never even heard of it before. It was rad. So yeah, Harry's. I think it's called Harry's Roadhouse. Yeah, but in the neighborhood usually Cocina Azul, or like locals or visitors will stay here in the trolley and ask for restaurants, and I always say Cocina Azul and Monroe's.
Yeah.
They're both walking distance. They both kill it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Definitely.
Nice. That's awesome. And okay, I'm going to take that one question further, just because, we're wrapping it up, but we're sitting here looking at a bunch of taps. If you're going to pair really delicious enchiladas with a local beer in here, possibly, what's your choice?
Out of these ones I have on tap here?
Yeah.
Oh man, that's difficult.
There's so many.
I think last time I talked about Elevated, La Cumbre's Elevated, and like a great IPA is always my go-to. But I've been just loving, Stillbender has an Italian Pilsner called Esmeralda.
Okay.
And I've just been drinking the crap out of it. It's like a hoppy Pilsner. It's amazing. It's like very spritzy. It's a good one. So I recommend it to a lot of people.
I do have Pumpkin Noir too, which is like my favorite seasonal. Like fall is like the best beer season.
We're right by Marble too.
I know.
Oh, so thirsty.
So many good beers. I know. No, that's awesome. No, I had to ask because it's like, if again, we'll show this on YouTube, but you've got Harmon Lane, you've got Marble, you've got Santa Fe Brewing, you've got Ex Novo. I mean, La Cumbre, Bosque, Stillbender, and Tractor. So you've got all the heavy hitters of local beers.
And a Demon Trap.
And a Demon Trap.
And the Demon Traps. And my favorite, the brewery I recommend to everybody, my favorite if they ask, is Gravity Bound. I'm wearing the shirt right now. And I know they were on the podcast.
Solid people.
Those guys just came out right away, just killing it. If you're an IPA person or sour, like they just can't.
Passionate about their beers too.
And they offer like good kombucha. Like if you're not a beer drinker, there's something for you, and their kombucha is just as good. Like it's solid.
You can mix a little bit of kombucha with one of their sours, and like it changes it entirely. It's good. It gives it like a little more like a little weird zing. But yeah, those guys are awesome. So I told Chris, I'm like trying to get some of their beer on tap, but eventually we'll see.
So Albuquerque, if you have a suggestion for a drink called the Demon Trap, or you have any ideas about like maybe what you think that should look like on a trolley, like hit us up, send us your suggestions, and we'll get them over here to Jesse for you. That's all I've got though. I mean, I really appreciate you taking your time to talk ghosts and spooks and haunted stuff and trolleys and everything in between.
All right. Awesome. Happy Halloween, everybody. Have a good one.